Hey there, guys. Today I'm looking at Conker's Bad Fur Day on the N64. Wow. Just wow. I know people give, this game, its reputation is it's very edgy. It's supposed to be, the edgy M-rated game, kind of a counterculture kind of thing at the time. And so it's kind of a bit odd playing it 20 years later, because I still really appreciate it for what it is, because it's trying to be edgy, but in a 90s kind of way. And so just for the basic fact of that, it's very, very unique in its tone and how it presents itself. It's really, really interesting and weird. And what it reminds me of, it's definitely something that is similar to South Park in the sense that you have this childish, cartoony style, but the dialogue and the content is absolutely like vulgar and nonconformist, and just overall, it just has a very unique, weird tone. The other thing that also really shocked me, or actually stood out about this game that I didn't expect, is, well, I mean, a lot of things, to be honest, but let's start off with the actual voice acting. I guess, in previous Rare games, they just had Banjo going, making, syllable sounds, essentially, and like sentence mixing as a means to talk, almost. But in this game, they're finally fully voiced. And so this is the first time, I guess, Rare has done voice acting, and it wasn't super compressed. I know Shenmue was coming out a few years before this. And so voice acting as a thing in the medium was very new. So as a very new thing, a lot of them and a lot of aspects of voice acting were just not done well, or there wasn't a standard for it, or it was just like, yeah, do whatever you want. So the voice acting in this game is very, very, very weird. It's honestly off-putting, because I'd expect Conker to be this brash, crude, crass, loudmouth goon, but instead he sounds like an oddly autistic old man in a chipmunk's body. He'll do a lot of as I'm doing right now, a lot of intonation. So I do a lot of, yep, no, that's how it is. And, yep, and I was thinking about that. And, yep, it looks like you need a kind of a special fixing there. And that's going to be, yep, exactly what it's going to be. He does a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's really, really odd. It's like, Conker to me feels like a canonically, I hate to say this, like identitarian ideas, but he feels canonically autistic. The way he speaks and presents himself is just really, the cadence of his voice sounds genuinely autistic. He sounds like Chris Chan or someone or something. It's really, really odd. It's something I was not expecting at all when I went into this game. What else can I say about the character? He's definitely, there's definitely a lot of, swearing, which is actually still censored, except for some things, like whenever he picks up a wad of money, which are the jiggies and collectibles in this game, he'll say, oh, there's a shitload of cash. But besides that, every other curse word is just censored. And I love how they even do the font, because they do this like red and blue dancing font for all their curse words, so they don't even spell it out. So even though it is, trying to be edgy and crass, it still is censored in a certain way. Another thing I do have to say is I am really, really, really uncomfortable with one level in this game, and like I can't remember the last time a game made me feel uncomfortable, but it was the poo level. The poo level, like, I know people know about the Great Mighty Poo from this game, but there's a whole level around that guy, to the point where I didn't even meet him for a very long time, because he's at the end of the level, but there's a whole level just around poo, and it's actually, it got to me. It really felt disgusting to be in it. And so that was one aspect that I was like, yeah, okay, I really do hate this. I really do hate this level. Like, it actually made me so disgusted, I want to stop playing the game. And I'll admit, I actually did not beat this game. Rarely do I end up talking about a game if I haven't beaten it. But in this case, I decided to do that. Not because of that level. I mean, it was right after that level. But basically, I was gate kept, where they're like, oh, you need $1,000 to go through this, gate. And every wad of cash you find is about 100, so I needed 10. And I literally was like, oh, I don't know, I can't find the other thing. And I literally I found a new area, like, oh, overlook this. There's got to be, multiple wads of cash here so I could let me go forward. And I only found one. So I was missing 9 out of 10. I could see one on a ledge that seems like I need a special power to get there. I had no idea how to get it. And I just, at that point, just dropped the game. I was like, I'm not going to get anything more out of this. One thing that really surprised me and I really appreciated seeing, actually, was the very intro cutscene to this game is a parody on Clockwork Orange, and I swear to God, I don't think anyone knows that reference exists, because the Venn diagram of people that have played Conker's Bad Fur Day and have also been aware of Clockwork Orange, I feel is very, very small. And he's sitting there with his glass of milk, staring at the screen as it zooms out, and so yeah. I forgot the side story. So you just start playing as Conker, and the story itself, Conker just goes to a bar, he gets totally wasted, and he needs to get back home, basically, and all these things, he wanders off this weird path, and he throws up, and now he has to just get back home, and now he has to deal with all these things, kind of like The Hangover, but not like a memory retrace thing. But the other aspect of the story that just comes out of nowhere is suddenly there's this giant panther guy who, they just introduce him, and he's this king, he's this ominous guy, and he has this wooden table, and he's drinking his milk, and then the table falls over on its side because it's missing a whole leg. And then he has this German mad scientist weasel that drafts a blueprint, and that's the other thing. There are a lot of cutscenes in this game. This game feels almost like an animated passion project rather than an actual game, because there's just so many cutscenes and so many different things to to see, and the cutscenes go on for a long time. And essentially what happens is he's like, oh, well, in order to replace this leg of the table so that the evil king can drink his milk, I need to put Conker, or Red Squirrel, underneath it. And so all of the death animations, or all the death cutscenes rather, involving Conker all involve him getting abducted or brought before this king and having him replace the broken table leg. It's just, okay, sure. It's something very weird and a little bit kind of off tone. And I guess about that, the other thing that feels very, very modern about Conker is the cutscenes and the flow of the story. Every wad of cash or every jiggy or whatever, there's essentially a character and a story. Sometimes you just find them, hanging around, but it's a very character focused game. You'll have someone, they'll have a problem, they'll have a dialogue with Conker, and then Conker will go do a little mini game and do that thing. It feels, I don't know, very streamlined in a way. It's not like Banjo-Kazooie or DK64 where you just explore the world and you open up, there's a little puzzle, you do the thing. It's like, no, there's a cutscene. It feels like a very cinematic game, which makes it feel very modern, which is really interesting to me. The other very modern thing about it, and I was really concerned at first about this, honestly, was the fact that Conker very easily dies. He only has 3 lives, and then it's game over. I thought, oh god, I'm gonna have to reset from some kind of checkpoint or something. But the continue system is very generous. You literally spawn in the exact same room where you were, and once I realized that if I get a game over, it literally doesn't matter because it just respawns you immediately. I was like, oh, there's no real there's no real consequence to actually losing, so it's more about the experience and the actual challenge of the gameplay. And that was kind of relieving, but it was kind of odd as well, because again, that's a very modern feature. The one time I really felt that was Hotline Miami, where it's your punishment for losing the level is losing the level. We're not going to make you reload the thing and wait or have to pay for something. It just it just makes you reset essentially. And again, another cool thing, another cool mechanic, just on the basic thing. So, of course, Conker can run, jump. He gets a frying pan as his main weapon. I could honestly see him being in Smash Brothers. He totally doesn't fit the tone at all. That's the whole joke of the game, is that he looks like a childhood friendly thing, but he's just, in his actions, he's not at all. There's this cool thing called the context button, and they have this whole thing about explaining how it works, and Conker being like, yep, the context button, yeah, that's how it is, you know? And what it is, it's a pad that you go on, similar to Banjo-Kazooie, and you press the B button to do whatever it is in that context. So, like, it's just kind of sort of meta in that sense, where, I mean, I don't know how to say it. Like, it's not even like you step on a fire pad and you get a flamethrower. It's like, no, whenever you're in, you know, a certain situation, or he has a little light bulb above his head, he just, you know, gets that thing. So, for example, when you're tightrope walking and there's vents in the attic and you press B when it lights up over his head, he gets a flamethrower. And it's like, oh, okay, sure, why not? I didn't expect that to happen. So a lot of the bosses are kind of like these 3-hit mini games, right? You know, you kind of see what you have to, you know, do and, you know, figure out, but it's not like he has a consistent thing besides the frying pan. And it's not like he has a consistent power either. It's like you go on these pads and it could literally be anything. So it's kind of a surprise for the player to see what it is, even though it's not consistent, and you kind of, you know, wish that, you know, I kind of wish that it was, so that I could, like, at least expect, okay, I know what this is going to be like. We're going to take the same thing but make it harder. It's like, no, every single situation involving that is completely different, and there's no real difficulty or skill curve. Maybe a little bit, it might be on timing or something, but it's going to be a different little mini game every time, essentially. Again, the voice acting is also very extra strange because Rare is a UK company, so all the voice actors are you know, British voice actors trying to sound you know, like an American cartoon, and so they just without any standards of voice acting either. So the whole thing feels just really just so super odd. Where, I mean, the thing that really strikes me is the fact that the tone and the volume is really toned down for the voices. It feels like they're kind of mumbling to themselves or mumbling into the microphone, and they're not actually projecting their voice at all, which, frankly, in my experience, makes it feel extremely creepy. It's a very creepy experience where you're struggling to listen to what the voice actor is saying because you're not sure if you heard them correctly. And it's also in this weird kind of compressed, you know, voice file sound, along with their accent, along with them trying to be edgy. The voice acting in this game is the most surreal experience, and I did not expect that at all going in. Again, I might, you know, follow up on this game, you know, in the future, but it was just not as rewarding and just kind of weird and lame. Again, there's a lot of really just gross humor, you know, as a not a replacement, but as a filler for humor. You know, they just do gross things sometimes. And I guess I could see this game being revolutionary when it came out, and it's still kind of odd playing it today, but it's just very, playing it today, it's very weird. It's just super weird. I don't really have any other way to put it. It's just very bizarre. Another thing that I realized in general about Banjo-Kazooie, and I think Western art styles in general, is that, and my brother actually pointed this out, that whenever they want to animate something or make something sentient, like a plant or an animal or whatever, they just give it big eyes, those big cartoon eyes like Disney. And I realized in other kind of animations or like Japanese games, like the thing will just be alive and it'll talk, but it won't need those eyes or a face. And I noticed that there's even sometimes here, you know, it's completely inanimate objects or like gross things that they just put eyes on it and suddenly it becomes sentient and it can talk. Again, I feel like there are so many cutscenes in this game. I feel like this is originally like an idea they had for an actual cartoon and they turned it into a video game. You know, that's kind of how it feels like. This was a translation or an adaptation rather than a direct creation. I mean, the gameplay works well enough, but they really had a vision, I think, outside of that driving them. Of course, maybe I'll just talk about the Great Mighty Pooh as a boss fight. Oh, it's really frustrating. It's really hard because if you fall off these very thin ledges as you try to shoot, I think was a TP from like a catapult at him, you die instantly. So, and again, I was just super worried but I realized, oh wait, the game over system, the life system doesn't really matter. In fact, Conker is a kind of game where I felt like they could remove the life system entirely from the game and you wouldn't notice a difference. There's really no reason to have a life system. And again, because they wanted to feel more like an actual cartoon, it's really odd and really weird in a certain way. And again, that's why I feel some of the gameplay elements don't really add up in terms of like I needed enough wads of cash to get to the next section and I didn't have those. Some of the animations are really impressive, like when I was going through this very specific giant rotating this tunnel with rotating fan blades which slice Conker, I thought, oh, he'll just take damage and fall back. But no, they did a custom animation for like Conker's entrails spilling out and his body, falling in half. And I thought, oh, wow, they put actually a lot of effort into this. I remember, oh god, in this one spot where you have to go up and talk to the blocks, I was stuck on this for so long because you have to talk to one block and then talk to the other one. And I didn't realize that in order for the second block to talk, your trigger was to go to the other block. But because he's on the right side of the stage, I went left, I went all around it and talked to him and says, go talk to Bert. And I was like, okay, well, who is Bert? And then you have these pieces of cheese that you have to hit and then take over the fence. And I realized I couldn't jump and I thought, oh, there must be a mechanic I'm not getting here. But no, I just had to, see that. There was also this sunflower with massive tits that you use as a bounce pad to get a wad of cash. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty funny. There's a decent amount of humor in this game. It definitely is a rare game. I wouldn't say it's good and I wouldn't say it's bad. I would say it's really unique, really, really interesting, and again, just bizarre because when you're playing it, like if you were watching this on YouTube, you can kind of skip ahead and be like, okay, this is weird, I'm gonna skip this. But as you're playing it, you're forced to just be in the experience, and it's just super bizarre. There's no other word for it. Another thing that they kind of meta make fun of is Conker's health in this game. Like they could have made it anything, but they made it blocks of chocolate. And so it's revealed in by this mad scientist that, oh, this isn't just a gameplay mechanic, that the in-game reason is that he makes an anti-gravitation beam and he makes anti-gravity chocolate, which is why they spin and rotate like a video game. And so just all this kind of like meta narrative around games themselves. Anyway, Conker is an interesting game. Honestly, it's not just crude. I had expectations going into this, and I thought it would be more like some kind of I don't know how to call it, like an American style arrogance to it, but it's just kind of generally messed up. Like it was more just, this is weird and really bizarre, rather than this is crass and arrogant and whatever. It was a kind of degeneracy that I was totally unprepared for. But anyway, yeah, that is Conker's Bad Fur Day. Really, really weird, interesting piece of art, honestly. Something, I guess, worth checking out, but I'm not sure it's worth completing since I didn't even complete it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.